What's up, everybody? As you guys know, interest rates are continuing to go up, which means house prices will probably continue to go down. There will be markets that will be affected more than others, but overall there will be a downward trend in home value. Now, because of all of that, I think in the next 6 to 10 months is going to be a great time to look at investment properties, specifically short-term rentals like Airbnb. One of my last videos was looking at Big Bear Lake, California, and how much supply and homes for sale there currently are, which potentially could lead to an opportunity for a good deal because when there's more supply, prices go down. So today we are going to look at a property that I stayed at in Big Bear Lake, California, and run some numbers to see if it would actually be a good investment. So here's a quick glimpse of the property. It is a 3-bed, 3-bath place. It can sleep 8 people. They're charging $314 a night. That number can change based on a lot of different factors, but we're going to use $314 as our baseline number when calculating income. But overall, this was a really cool place. We had our family reunion here. Highly recommend it. Go check out their Instagram if you're interested in staying here. So without using AirDNA, which is a subscription-based service that allows you to calculate these numbers a little bit easier, we're going to do our best to figure out exactly how much these guys are making with this property. So let's start with income. Typically, a successful Airbnb has an occupancy rate of about 65% or higher. That's about 20 days per month. So if we take their daily rate of $314, multiply it by 20, that gives us $6,280 per month that these guys are pulling in from this property. Now, obviously, they don't get to pocket the entire amount of that money. There's lots of fees and expenses that are associated with owning an Airbnb. Let's pretend that you bought this property today. Some other comps in the area, I would put this house roughly at about maybe $750,000. So the mortgage on a $750,000 investment property, or a second home depending on how you want to do financing, would be $4,500 per month. The property management fee is roughly 10% of whatever revenue the property pulls in. So we'll call that $628. Utilities are another expense that you would pay as the homeowner, and that can be a little difficult to calculate, especially if you're going to include lawn care under utilities. So for this category, we'll say $300 per month. Then it's about $150 to clean the property after each tenant. Sometimes the visitor will actually pay this cleaning fee, but for now we're just going to include it in expenses. And the last expense is the Airbnb fee. Typically they charge about 3% of that total revenue that comes in, so we'll call that $188. If you add all of that up, your total expenses for this property are $5,766 per month. So you take your income, $6,280, minus your expenses of $5,766, and the cash that would go into your pocket would be $514 per month. Now, it's really important to note that these numbers are if you were to buy the property today. When these guys bought the property, the house price was probably cheaper, they probably had a better interest rate, and if they've owned the place long enough, they've probably refinanced to where their monthly payment could be around $2,000 a month, which would net you an extra $2,500 a month into your pocket. Now, not to be the bearer of bad news, but we just looked at monthly costs. There is a whole other category of expenses that we have to account for, and this would be your startup costs or your one-time fees. So if you're buying this house at $750,000, you have to put, let's call it 20% down. So your down payment on this place is $150,000. Your closing costs are probably going to be about $10,000. You'll have to furnish the house, which is probably about $15,000. You might not have to do a lot of remodeling with this place, but let's go ahead and budget in an extra $15,000 for remodel costs. And on top of all of that, you will probably want to travel to the property at least once or twice to make sure that everything's ready to go before you post it on Airbnb. So let's call that $5,000 in travel costs. So in addition to all of those other monthly expenses you had, you'll have to come up with $195,000 in cash just to purchase and start this property on Airbnb. That is probably the biggest barrier to entry in the Airbnb market. If you could handle the risk of having $5,700 per month in expenses, but know that you'll probably pull in $6,200 a month in income, then you would probably go for it. But a lot of people don't have $195,000 sitting around. So let's look at a different property. This property is also in Big Bear Lake. It's listed on Zillow for $440,000. It is a 3-bed, 2-bath, and overall, it looks relatively new, modern, and updated. But something that's very important to point out, this is a condo. You can see right here, it's a condominium, which typically means it's going to have a very high HOA, and sure enough, it's $550 per month just for the HOA. So let's do the same exact calculation that we did on the last property. After finding a similar property on Airbnb, it looks like you'd be able to put this one on Airbnb for $207 per night. Using a 65% occupancy rate or 20 days per month, the total income for this property would be $4,140. But now let's take out all those monthly expenses. Your mortgage, after putting 20% down and including the $550 a month HOA, comes to about $3,191. Property management fee, again about 10% of the revenue, comes to about $414. Utilities will be a little bit less because you won't have to hire anybody to take care of the lawn. It's a little bit of a smaller unit, so let's call it $200 a month. You're still going to have to pay a cleaner to come out, $150, and you'll still have to pay the Airbnb fee of 3% of your revenue, which comes to about $124 per month. Your total expenses for this cheaper property come to $4,079 per month. So you take your income, $4,140, minus your monthly expenses of $4,079, and you are only making $61 per month. And we still have to count startup costs. Down payment, $88,000. Closing costs, $8,000. Furnishings, $10,000. Remodel costs, this one looks pretty good. Let's call it $0. But you're still going to have to travel down there and check it out. Call that $5,000. In total, you're going to need $111,000 to purchase and start this property on Airbnb. Now, all of these numbers assumed that you had a successful Airbnb, that at least 65% of the nights throughout the entire year, you had somebody staying in your Airbnb. Right now, we're in a recession. Airbnbs typically don't do as well during recessions. So if you do decide to purchase an Airbnb, or you already have one, focusing more on marketing and providing a unique experience to your guests is going to be more important than ever. But here's my plan for the next 6 months. I'll probably find 5 areas that I would really like to have a vacation home in. I will start watching house prices in each of those areas, and as we close out 2022, coming into 2023, that potentially could be the best moment to buy a vacation home with the intention of putting it on Airbnb. Interest rates are going to be a lot higher at that point though. So as you're doing these calculations over the next few months, I would put in a higher interest rate. Put in 7%, 7.25. If you want to be really conservative, go up to 8%. If the numbers still work with an 8% interest rate, then you know you've got yourself a killer deal. Because in 3 to 5 years, you're going to be able to refinance back down to a lower rate, hopefully, and you're going to be cash flowing so much on your Airbnb. If you made it this far in the video, please hit the subscribe button. This is still a brand new channel, and every new subscription makes my day. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you next time.